finally give you guys an update on my pregnancy. I am 17 weeks now this week, but today we'll be talking about more of just my first trimester and how that went, and even just how we found out I was pregnant. So early September of this year is when we found out that I was pregnant. And I remember that, Logan, Hunter, and I, we spent a few days in Oxnard. My parents have a home there that we stayed at. And it was really hot that week, so we decided to cool off in Oxnard, where the weather is much nicer. Anyway, I remember leading up to our trip in Oxnard, I was feeling so exhausted every day, and yeah, I was just so tired. And I remember even Logan like complaining about how he said I was like tired all the time that week. And I just had a feeling that I was probably pregnant, because I remember that was one of my first big symptoms when I was pregnant with Hunter. So after we came back from a long walk in Ventura, I asked Logan if we could stop by a Target. I just had to pick up a couple things. He didn't know that I was buying a pregnancy test, but I did. And when we got back to the Oxnard home, I took a test, and sure enough, I was pregnant. I was super happy and excited, but I didn't tell Logan immediately. I kind of wanted to find a more surprising way to tell him that day. But we were sitting on the couch, and maybe about half an hour later, we were just chatting, and I told him that he's gonna really regret being annoyed with me about how tired I was. And then I pulled out the stick. I had it in my back pocket, and he was in disbelief. He was so shocked. He was like, "What? Like, are you serious?" And yeah, we were just super happy, and we didn't want to tell. My mom was also there at the home, but we didn't want to tell people right away. So we just kind of quietly shared the excitement, like just between the two of us. And later that night, we tried to share with Hunter that, we're expecting another baby. I don't think he quite got it, but yeah, every day we've been just trying to teach him that there's a baby inside mommy's tummy. So that's our little story on how we found out that I was pregnant. Let's talk about symptoms. One of the first things that I felt was the fatigue. As I mentioned before, I was just so exhausted every day, and I had to take naps on a regular basis. And sometimes when Hunter would just be playing around, being his happy and rambunctious self, I'd just be lying on the floor, like really wanting to take a nap. So yeah, I was very tired. I thought that maybe this pregnancy would be different from my pregnancy with Hunter, because at first I felt great, like in terms of nausea. Like I didn't really have morning sickness in the beginning, but it wasn't until I hit week 7 is when I started feeling more nauseous, and then it just kept getting worse and worse week by week, to the point where I absolutely hated food. I was extremely sensitive to smells. I couldn't even stand the smell of Logan, sadly. Like I had to keep him at a distance, otherwise I would feel really nauseous. Like the refrigerator freaked me out. I was like traumatized by the trash cans. Even like being outside, there are just certain like, I don't know, outdoor smells that would like trigger my nausea. Needless to say, yeah, I just really didn't like smells. In terms of food, there wasn't much that I could really handle eating. I didn't like the thought of food, to be honest. Like I couldn't cook. for instance, which I love to do. I'm sure you guys know from our family channel vlog that I love to cook, but I couldn't stand cooking, couldn't be near the kitchen for the whole first trimester. And even trying to figure out what types of foods to like order, like takeout wise, it was such a chore for me. Like I remember like every day like looking on Yelp trying to figure out like what restaurants or what types of food I could handle eating, and it was just horrible having to like scroll through like all these restaurants and looking at different foods. I did also have insomnia. That was another symptom where almost every day in the middle of the night I would wake up and I wouldn't be able to go back to sleep for like at least a few hours later. I dealt with indigestion, and I heard that's typical, just the usual like stomach issues during your first trimester. Okay, let's talk about the foods that I could handle or liked. There wasn't much, but the things that I consistently was able to eat were candy, such as Sour Patch Kids, Mike and Ike's, High Chews, and Werther's Originals. Those are ones that I was able to eat on a semi-regular basis. Also, I liked BLT sandwiches. Like those were the only types of sandwiches that I could handle. So we ordered sandwiches a lot during my first trimester. I did go through phases of temporarily liking certain foods, but it was weird. Like I would like them for like 1 to like a few days and then like hate it the next. So some foods that were like temporary likes were, I went through a smoothie phase. There was a phase when I liked egg drop soup. What else? Crackers, granola bars, and salads. But yeah, sadly, I eventually ended up hating them all like at a certain point. Okay, food aversions, foods that I did not like. When I was like jotting down these notes, Logan was like, you basically hated everything. But I think there were like a few things that really stood out that I just absolutely could not stand like the thought of. And that was, one of them was Korean food. Which I was super bummed about because I usually love Korean food, but I couldn't stand the smell of it or even the thought of it. Coffee was another one. And then the smell of chocolate. I just really hated the idea of chocolate. There was one day when Logan was making hot chocolate for himself, and I got so mad because it made me so nauseous. Needless to say, I told him he wasn't allowed to have hot chocolate for a while. I did not like Mexican food. I did not like anything with tomatoes in it, such as like spaghetti sauce, salsas, even ketchup. I just really did not like. I really hated fried foods. Me as a chip lover, that was like really sad that I couldn't stand any chips because normally I love them. I just basically hated anything that was really pungent and smelly. So yeah, with all of my OB appointments at the doctor's office, the baby looked healthy. There was nothing really to report. It seems like the baby's on track growth-wise, and I don't seem to have any complications, which I'm really thankful for. So hopefully baby will just continue to grow in the womb healthily and be strong and happy. I did lose quite a bit of weight during my first trimester, but I feel like with this pregnancy I started showing a lot earlier than with Hunter. So there's definitely a pooch, a bigger belly, and I had to bust into my maternity pants pretty early on. So yeah, there's definitely a growing baby despite the weight loss. So that seems to be all my updates for my first trimester. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye!